Hello, people of the internet. I'm Diagrammer, and welcome to whatever the heck this is. Week 2 of Season 4 of the Pokédex Holders League. As you can see, we're here with the battle against Coach Lee of the Rayleigh Raichus, and I totally butchered this intro. I'm really tired. I've been away all weekend, that's why this is late, and I didn't want to upload the team, but that's whatever, it's fine. Also, as you can see, we're doing post-com again, which is fun. We love post-com because my screen recorder broke and my computer crashed like 3 times during this battle. It was very, very frustrating. And Lee disconnected like almost every single turn. I disconnected a few times as well. It was horrendous, but we're here. It's fine. We're cool. And we're just going to jump into it as if nothing happened. So we look at his team. That's what we would do, right? So we expected Steelix, he actually did bring it. We were really expecting Kyurem. We had a good feeling about Raichus, had a good feeling about Tornadus. It was like, yeah, that could definitely come. Didn't really expect Necrozma Delmise, but it is kind of like the Trick Room thing that I thought there was potential for, but I was kind of more expecting the Pangoro side of things. But I can definitely see why he brought the Delmise. As it does take on Zygarde quite nicely. But he did not bring the Suicune, which was quite clever. I thought he had to bring it, but then he was talking to me afterwards, and totally made sense. I really liked his reasoning. He was like, "Yeah, got too many things for it," and I prepped quite hard for it, so that's good, cool. But no Darmanitan, no Darmanitan, what? No Darmanitan. That's kind of crazy, you know. Darmanitan destroyed me pretty hard, even though I prepped hard for it, but that's whatever. So looking at the team preview stage, I was thinking to myself, he's got 2 rock setters, Steelix or Necrozma. Could lead with either of them. I don't have a way to clean Oko either of them. So I was like, well, I might as well just lead off with my Mega Beedrill, get my Mega off, U-turn out, and be in a good position. Let's see how it works out. So he does lead off with the Golden Steelix. I lead off with my boy Beavis, and I just go straight for the U-turn, no messing around. I do not want to lose my Beedrill turn 1. That would be terrible. He makes a switch into Tornadus, predicting my Drill Run, which was not a terrible idea, but it does allow me to go straight into Jolteon, and then Volt Switch out again. Look at that Volt Turn action already in this match. This is fantastic. He makes a middle ground play into a Raichu, in case I predicted his Steelix, which I thought it was turn 2. I felt like Volt Switch was a fine play. And then I can just go into my Bell End, get up my Stealth Rocks, gauge the Volt Switch damage. It does a lot. It does a lot of damage, but because of computer issues, calcs weren't working, so I was pretty blind. I was like, I don't know, that did a lot to a Spadef Bellend. Is that specs, or is that just how powerful Raichu is? So I had it in mind that he might be some kind of boosting item, or, you know, maybe he's modest or something. I don't really know. But in any case, he goes out into this thing, and I predict the Rapid Spin. And I go out into my Wingman to put on the offensive pressure, because we can just fire off hurricanes for days, and he doesn't have that great a switch into it. He switches into the Raikou, and I just fire off a huge hurricane, and it misses, which is unfortunate, but nevertheless, we can just U-turn out and be fine with it. That does a good chunk of damage. We've whittled down this Raikou pretty well with our Volt Turn core. And then I go straight out into my Jolteon, who can eat up this Thunderbolt, no problem, thanks to the Volt Absorb. That is this Jolteon's job this match. And then I make the middle ground play, go for the Shadow Ball, in case he stayed in case he switched out, and we get a glorious chunk of damage off on the Steelix. That was so freaking nice. I then switch out into my Jellicent, because there was no Darmanitan, Jellicent was a little bit more expendable, and I felt like I could switch into the Steelix, take any hit, and scold it. And then we would be in a very good position. But he doubles out into the Kyurem, and I'm like, oh, that was not good, because this thing destroys me, and I have absolutely no choice but to go back out into my Bell End, and just kind of hope that he doesn't predict that and go for a Shadow Ball. He does just go for a Draco, and it does 30% to a Spadef Bronzong. Like I say, I didn't have calcs, but I was certain that was specs. I was like, there is no frickin' way with no life or recoil that does that much damage. I do get my rocks back up, and this time I was like, he has a rapid spin. And so I go out into my Jellicent. He actually goes for the Earthquake. But that was fine by me, because this is interesting. Yeah, I just go for the Will-O-Wisp. The screen kind of froze there for a second. So I'm just going to pause that for a second. I don't know why, the screen sort of froze. I don't know if you could see that. But whatever. I predict the Rapid Spin going to Jellicent. He went for the Earthquake. And then I went for the Will-O-Wisp on the following turn. And he missed his Power Whip. Which was a pretty big series of events. Because it completely nullifies this Dhelmise as a threat. And even though I would have been able to live the Power Whip pretty easily, I would have been forced to recover. And then he could have Power Whipped me. And then we're playing the crit game. And that's no fun. But now he's burned, my Jellicent is in, General Melchett just fires off the Hex, and it is a clean 2-hit KO on this Ron Burgundy, which is absolutely glorious. He predicts my switch out in a Bronzong, goes to the Rapid Spin. I don't mind that play at all. He had to make plays, he was behind. But General Melchett can just pick up a kill on his debut, and that was just glorious. And here, like, I don't care if he makes the prediction of me going into Jolteon. I have no reason not to go into Jolteon. Like, watch this, he makes the prediction, he goes for the extra sensory, doesn't even do half. And now I can go for the hidden power ground, completely for free, knock out the Raichus, my boy Omzor coming back into the team with a kill. In comes Necrozma, and this thing is scary. I am locked into hidden power ground, which is not good. Choice Effect Shadow Ball does 2-hit KO some variants of Necrozma. But I'm just thinking about it, I'm like, what do I do? And I decide that the best thing to do is to go into my Bronzong and go for the Toxic. Because I'm pretty certain he's going to have Trick Room, offensive move, probably Psychic, probably a Recovery in Moonlight, maybe Calm Mind, maybe he's a Calm Mind, Iron Defense Store Power set, maybe he's got Rocks, whatever. My best play was to go out into my Bronzong and get a Toxic on this thing and put it on a timer. He does go for the Psychic, that doesn't even do lefties damage, we are perfectly okay with that. And I can just fire off the Toxic. But he unfortunately actually switches out into the Tornadus, which can kind of put the hurt on my Bellend with a knockoff. But that's fine, because we have the Colberberry Jellicent to take on this Tornadus, if it actually works. But he actually goes for the Hurricane, which was annoying, because that does 30% or 33% rather. And now I'm forced to recover, but he misses his Hurricane, which I missed one earlier, so it's kind of payback. And now I can either recover again, or I can Hex again. I was tossing up, and I wanted General Melchett to get the kill, so I went for the Hex, but he confused me and I hit myself, so that's whatever. General Melchett is still sitting at about half, and his usefulness has pretty much expired, but he is the General, and we keep him around. We switch out to my Bellend because it can still take any 2 hits from this Kyurem, and he went for the Focus Blast, and I'm like, oh, that did 40% to my answer to this, which doesn't have any recovery other than leftovers, and that was bad. And this was when I just went, he has to be specs. That does so much damage. And so I make a slightly risky play. Like, if I had calcs to check it, this wouldn't have been quite as risky. But I was like, okay, Beedrill quad resists that. Let's go into the Beedrill, take the Focus Blast, and then be in a really, really good position. So I go out into Beavis. He does go for the Focus Blast again. It does absolutely nothing, but I believe it is still Choice Specs damage. And I can just go for the U-turn completely for freely. He goes into Necrozma, and we clean knock it out. Beavis, baby! Ah, Beavis is so good. I just go into Caesar here, which is a huge misplay, and I realized it as soon as I clicked the button, because Caesar quite clearly cleans up this game of close combat if this Steelix is at like 5 or 10% less health. And I knew what health it was at, and I was like, oh yeah, my boy Caesar is in a good position. I go to Caesar, I click close combat twice. That is a bit of a tongue twister. And then I remembered the calcs that I had been running before the match, where I needed Steelix to be, and if he was not even fully defense invested, close combat did under half. If he was the fully defense invested set that I was anticipating, then it was doing, it was doing like 45%, 40% max. So I need to get this thing at lower health. And I was so thrown off by the huge misplay I just made. I didn't even click U-turn. I just hard switched out into my bronzing. I was like, God, you idiot, what are you doing? I was just clicking buttons. But thankfully he goes for the earthquake, and I do not get punished for my poor plays. And now I'm like, okay, I go for the earthquake. I don't care if he kills my bell end. And he switches out. I needed the damage on the Steelix, man. But we do get a clean chunk of damage off on this Curum, puts it in range of absolutely everything. And now he could knock me out with a Focus Blast here. I have to predict the Focus Blast go out in a B-drill. If he Dracos and kills me, so be it, but he does go for the Focus Blast. And here, we make more stupid misplays. And just watch what I do here, because I'm a stupid idiot. I go for the Fellstinger. I go for the Fellstinger. I saw the finish line, right? I was in against the Curum, Fellstinger could knock it out, then I get to +3, then I draw with the Steelix and I win. Beavis gets 2 kills at the end there. Excellent. However, that only works if he stays in with the Curum, which he would never do in a million years. Like, he had to switch out into the Steelix. So, I don't know if Drill Run killed the Curum for that, I wasn't going to risk that, but I should have just U-turned. Clearly by the Fellstinger edge, U-turn would have done clean enough. And then I could have gone out to my Infernape, got the last 2 kills, picked up the 6-0 win, and differential matters. So I was like, God damn it, you idiot, you just cost yourself the 6-0. And now I have to make a super risky play, because the calcs that I had run before the battle, Infernape could take 1 Earthquake at about 80%. It would take about 80% damage from it. So I do go for the U-turn out into my Infernape, and I'm just crossing my fingers like, please don't crit me with this. And this kid tries to meme all over me and goes for the Dark Pulse, and that was really funny. I kind of lost it. I was like, okay, that's kind of brilliant. You're trying to meme on me, you son of a bitch. You sly bastard. But yeah, at the end of this match, Caesar can just clean up with 2 close combats pretty nicely. However, there is a little thing I need to talk about, because Lee had run some calcs of his own, and he had invested enough attack into that Steelix to guaranteed knock out my Infernape with an Earthquake, even with all the HP investment I had in this thing, which was crazy to find out. I was like, oh, you weren't like max defense? He was like, nah, man, nah. I mean, that was good prep, but he tried to meme on me with the Dark Pulse. He predicted the Bronzong, he said, but I know Dark Pulse would have done that much. He did it for the meme, goddammit. But anyways, this was a really good battle to represent how good my team is. I just had the momentum at every single turn. I had the responses to his threats. He didn't have the response to my threats. His team was just getting worn down, and I could just come in with a fast mon and pick up some kills at the end. And this is a beautiful 6-0 victory. We do move to number 1 in the league right now, although Sil and Yoshi, I believe, are battling tonight, and they could technically move ahead of me by like 1 differential point, but I think that's going to be a really close one. I'm really looking forward to that. So we're in a great position right now for playoffs. 2 wins, and we're pretty much in the playoffs. 3 wins, and we are, I believe, guaranteed to get into the playoffs. Next week, we have Sean, the Curum, All Blacks, who's got off to a pretty rough start, but I mean, I haven't prepped for him yet, but I'll get into it in the team builder whenever I do that. It is a terrifying matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I've actually not played Sean in the league format, so that should be a good one. So yeah, that's coming up next week. Sorry for the lateness of this. Sorry if my voice sounds croaky. I'm dead. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.